Good afternoon. It is Monday, June the it is the June 16th, 2025. Well, you know what? This really feels like the summer is going to just go by just as fast here because the month of June is flying by. May flew by.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I have no doubt that July and August are just going to be the same thing.
Yes, and then back to the grind in the fall, which is not.
Back to the grind, indeed.
Yes. Oh, we'll still have the show though.
Oh, of course we will.
No,
No,
absolutely, yes. So you know what? The show will kind of be the in between the shows will be the in between the grinds. How's that?
that sounds great.
In between, and you know, and there we go. Right. So
Bit
it'll
of
be.
a
Go
bit of
ahead.
a respite from the grind.
Pardon me.
Bit of a respite from the grind.
Yeah, rest bit. I like it. I like it.
Yes.
Yes, that's REST space BIT.
Yes.
Oh, we have to put it out there for the audio listeners, right? So
That we do. That we do.
one character at a time, right?
Oh, exactly. Yes.
That's certainly it. Well, but there's always a lot. Like, see, there's always a lot to sort of read through. Even like in between all that stuff, there's always good stuff to read. So
There is, and as much as reading can be about learning, and I do still take it as such, I also, because of how much choice you have in that, I do like it as a bit of a rest from the other stuff.
yes, yeah, definitely, yep. Because you know what though, because there's a lot that kind of goes on, right? And with the fact that there's always a lot that kind of goes on, it separates that it clears the headspace a little bit.
It does. It gives you one thing to sort of focus on. Like a book is usually about one thing, or you can get an idea of this is what this book is. Whereas it kind of then narrows the focus from all the other whatever else is going on in life, in one's mind, in the world.
Oh yeah, yeah. For me, it's books, and those that know me, sports and sports.
Yes, and that's wonderful. It's important to have things that you can sort of turn to in those situations.
Yes, 3 hours of you know 3 hours of you know of a game is it's that escape.
Yeah, if you can carve out that time and it's just for that, and that is where your energy is going, that is where your attention is going, nothing wrong with that.
Well, that's it. I mean, but you know what though? But you have to have that, right? You have to have something to clear the headspace.
You do.
And there'll be some books on that we'll be pondering as well, which will talk about that piece as well.
Oh, certainly there can always be books for that sort of thing too,
Yes, I
and
think
on
there's
that
some on my.
subject.
Go ahead.
Oh, there are some on your list?
There are. I there most certainly are. Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely get to those then.
Yes, feel free to have a look at my yes, and if you're follow yes, and feel free to have a look at yeah, feel free to even take some stuff from my want to read and put them in.
Okay, sure.
Yes. Now, speaking of books,
Yes, I was going to say, speaking of, for today, we've got High Road Leadership, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on it. So if you'd like to start us off.
well, I've gotten through as you've seen. Um, I've gotten through. I've started into it.
Hmm.
I'm on chapter 2, and so far I really like the fact that I like the messaging so far that he's that is being portrayed, that is being sort of met, like, especially, I don't want to use, like, I should sort of back that up by, instead of messaging, I'm gonna, because we haven't gotten to the middle of the book yet, but we should sort of, I'm gonna change that to the beginning examples that he provides, where, on when it comes to qualities, because because what seemed, because, and he sort of alluded to it, that these days things are about right, like, even when it comes to politics, when it comes to anything, that it comes to right, it comes to one being on, like it's like constant being on the end of the right way or the wrong way, when, where, and there ends up being quite a bit of a thing, quite a bit of a big deal that's made about things that really don't need to be. And I think it comes to, and it also kind of comes down to, um, becoming, becoming a manager, or something. And I think that's sort of where his, like, I feel like that's kind of where the book is going to go, where he's going to talk about leadership and how everybody, how we can be, what it even is. Now, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are so far.
I believe I'm around the same place as you, and I would agree that the sort of principles that he's outlining and the values that he's outlining are important. I almost feel as if some of them are a bit, I don't want to say obvious, but in some ways they are, or they should be, as sort of basic human decency. Where, and I'm sure it is valuable in a business setting and in a managerial setting, but things like, and of course, this is kind of a point of humanity and a point of the world where these things aren't considered enough, valuing people and treating them with the dignity and respect that they deserve, and giving more than you take, and putting others ahead of yourself, and not really focusing on your own goals and ambitions, but how can you allow others to win more than you do, or how can you sort of lift others up in a way. I don't know, it wasn't what I was expecting out of a quote unquote business type of book.
I'm going to give you a different way to look at it.
Okay, please.
While, see, while certain things, to sort of quote, to quote some of your words there, quote unquote, human decency and things being obvious, quote.
Mm-hmm.
What's obvious to us isn't necessarily obvious to others, because in order to, because, and you know what, and how he starts, as you just pointed out, actually makes a lot of sense. Um, because in order to start getting into business concepts, you have to outline qualities of a person, and you have to identify all of that first. Because typically, business people, or yes, business people are very the way has always been that business people who are in business and have these so-called positions that and do and whatever are very one-sided attitude-wise. And where it gets into where it's like, okay, well, this is my way, and if you don't like it, then that's then that's it. That is the business. That is the mentality in most on the corporate side, as well as for small businesses, or not even businesses. People, yeah, corporate side. I sort of alluded to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree now that you kind of lay it out that way. I suppose it is a very corporate mindset to be rather self-serving in that regard and kind of to disregard any other viewpoints or the opposing side of things if it doesn't align with your beliefs. And of course, that is what he's kind of trying to get people to move away from with this book. It's already quite evident from what he's laying out here with, even the high road, middle road, low road mentalities and sort of defining what each of those means and how it divides or brings people together, of course, which is actually I guess it would be the subtitle of the book, bringing people together in a world that divides.
That's right. Yeah, right. But I mean, that's where I'm, sort of in that as well. Like, see, because here's the thing: anybody in the corporate world, right, who have jobs, are what they do is they try to is that they do things to try to save their jobs. And of course, in their situations they have to. So one way to really do that or is that they have to do what they're being told to do by not only their managers, but who's carrying out the decision. Now, who's carrying out the decisions made by upper management, which doesn't reflect. And it's not only like, see, and here's the thing, and which doesn't reflect really what the person who's, which may not always reflect in what a person's doing, right? Because, see, here's the other side of it. And it's the same everywhere. It's the same for people that have jobs that are employed. It's the same thing when volunteering. It's the same sort of situation everywhere. So, and I think what this book, and I feel like, so what this book is trying to, what he's trying to put forward, or what he is putting forward, is to try and think and do things in a different way. I've got a few books on my wish list that also, the few more that get into the whole management sort of side and how to be, and how to be a good leader. Now, I'm also going to sort of tie this into something, to a little bit of a side note as well, in that one of my previous instructors, who whose experience comes from a call center environment, actually had put out an article, and it was a very well written article. It's called. It was titled "Unlearning and Adapting to Change," and this is sort of where this book is kind of coming from too. In terms of some of the concepts, there are things that have to be unlearned, and there has to be adapting to change. Meaning, and part of that is meaning, now you have to, because look, things have changed, and things are constantly changing. You can't continue to do as a company or as a business. You can't keep doing things the way that you have always been doing them. You have to change, you have to adapt, and also not only adapt, but you need to respect your employees, and you have to retain them. Because what always happens is that they continue to stick with how they've always been doing things, and then they stick with it. That's how that is how things don't evolve, and leads to collapsing of companies.
Yeah, and I guess a lot more emphasis is generally put on, even when the decisions are made, the emphasis is placed on the business or the entity that is the company rather than the people who work there and the people who are affected. It becomes less, I don't want to say it's not humane, but it's kind of, I think maybe people can get forgotten in that sense, the people at the company and the consumers, because it's not really, that sort of thinking doesn't seem to be part of the existing corporate model. And that is not indicative of everyone in the corporate world. This is not a condemnation of everyone in the corporate world. I'm sure that there are those who don't work that way and who work differently.
No, but the consensus is, though, that if you look at it, that's the consensus. Because see, here's what's happening. Here's what happens. Is, to save money, like, the thing is, they don't need as many, like, here's the thing, they don't need as many people anymore to handle certain things or certain tasks that they used to. So ultimately what's happening, but they're continuing to do things in the same way, but with less people, and the people that are there are, doing, one person is doing four people's jobs,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. And
Yes. My apologies, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was simply agreeing with your point.
Yeah. Um, no, it's okay. That where, and it is now, this happens a lot in broadcasting, but not only in broadcasting. It's across the board now in every industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest too, that if somebody asked me, or if somebody were to were to offer me a paid job in broadcasting, I don't want to say, if somebody were to offer me a position, I might even say, I would honestly turn it down, perhaps. And the reason is because I'm really having fun with what I'm doing now, that I'm able to broadcast in my own way. I'm able to, do things in the way that I want to do it. I don't have to answer to anybody. But besides that, the book is certainly but besides that, though, the book is it's sort of talking about the transformation and how things can transform.
It does appear to be talking about that transformation, yes. And I do actually have a bit of a question for you now.
Let's go for it.
So, in keeping with what you just sort of described, and that you enjoy doing these things in your own way and being able to broadcast as you do without having to answer to anyone, and that's amazing. But I'm wondering then what it is with these books about management and business. What is it about that intrigues you? If it's not a model in which you choose to personally work.
How did I know you were gonna ask me that?
Did you?
I did. Honestly, I knew that. Oh boy. Okay, so to answer that, because it helps me in terms of becoming it helps me in terms of being a better person and look towards adapting my ways into a way that is going to help me grow in all the things that I do in the future.
Okay, that's interesting. So you look at it less in a business sense and more in just a personal sense?
Well, kind of both, because I've always sort of had an interest in. I've always had that in I always like the I always appreciate the side of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where it kind of stems, right? And you know, in terms of how things can be and how things are and how things could be.
Right, because adapting is always important.
Right? And but see, but here's the thing. And here's the thing. With all of that, with all of this said, I do recognize and understand that not everyone is in the same, not everybody's in the same position. Some people, actually, not some people, 95% of people, and I think I just raised the number too high there, but anyway, are they don't have a choice. They have to, you know, they have to be in the corporate world and, deal with company politics and all that good stuff.
Especially with things as they stand economically and generally. Yeah, not a lot of people have the opportunity for choice, unfortunately.
No, not a lot of people do, and and I recognize that, and
Mm-hmm.
and and I actually feel for people in that have to, because it's not great.
Yeah,
It's not great.
no, in a lot of ways, it's really not.
It's actually more bad, more worse than it's better.
That is certainly how it comes across and how it often sounds when you hear it from people.
Well, and you know what? And it's actually true.
No, of course it is. I'm being careful about saying that is how in the situations that I am familiar with and have heard about, it is that way.
Yes. Oh
But
yeah.
again, being careful not to attempt not to generalize too much. But I understand exactly what
No,
you're
no. You
saying,
know
and
what? No, no.
I
You
do
know
agree
what?
with you. Hmm.
You know what? On here, we're allowed to speak,
Yes, of course.
right? On here, we're allowed to speak, and yes, and right. But I mean, I feel as though like I'm just, I'm just very, I'm just very happy to be here, and we're doing a show. Happy to be here doing a show too.
As am I, and I think what you just said about being allowed to speak perfectly encapsulates the ability to not have to answer to someone
Yep.
regarding that sort of thing.
Yep.
You just distilled it perfectly into one point.
Yeah. Exactly. Now I'm looking forward as well to hearing your thoughts even more about this next week. Like we can and as well. Now, what about the Midnight Library? What are your thoughts there?
I'm about halfway through that one now. I've got a
I
lot
think
of
I am
reading.
too.
Okay, yeah, I think that was about where I saw your last update was somewhere in the 50% range.
Yep. I think it was like
It's
48,
something
46,
or
46.
something to that effect. It is interesting, and I do feel like I understand what it's going for in its messaging, but it's a different it's something different for a fictional story because it feels at times like it is ranging towards slightly toward that self-help direction in terms of some of the messaging or the themes that can be taken from it, just the points that are being made about living and about life. But it's kind of a fascinating way to go about presenting them through this concept of the library and through Nora being able to live these multiple lives and how the choices that she attempts to make when choosing a new life aren't often what they seem that they might be. She can say, "Oh, I want the life where I chose to continue with swimming and be an Olympic swimmer," but there are 10 other things in her life that are then going to not be ideal or not be what she intended. So it kind of presents the idea that even one choice can have outcomes that sort of have this ripple effect.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well said. Yeah, and I think I agree, and I feel the same way about it. Um, um, it does twist and turn a lot, the book.
It does. And it's kind of still unclear where it's going to go. Like, what is she going to ultimately choose?
Like, are you excited to put to find out what happens at the end?
Oh, I am.
So let me ask you then, what do you feel given what do you feel will happen at the end? How do you feel the book will end?
It's difficult to say because that's like saying what is a person ultimately going to choose when presented with an infinite number of options.
No, what do you think? No, I hear you. I understand that. But how do you feel like like see, what do you feel or think? What, like, it doesn't have to be exact, but then we can sort of at the end of it kind of come across and go, "Hey, this is what we had said." Were we right about that, or did we feel it was different? Like, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So what is your feeling as to what will happen at the end of it? How do you feel the book will end? Give me something here.
Okay. All right. Um, I have this.
Oh, I'm getting you to think here.
You are, yes. And I just from where things are at now, I am imagining that she's going to choose a life and she's going to make peace with everything that that means, which is not only the initial choice of this is what I would like my life to be, but to take whatever else that that involves for better or for worse. And I think that she's going to learn to accept it, and that the idea of happiness that it initially sort of presents is not necessarily the singular thing that one strives for.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you have any thoughts about what might happen? This goes both ways, you know.
Oh, I know that. I never said it didn't. I never I never said it didn't. Oh, I agree. Well, I think based on where we're at now, based on where I'm at now, where I think she like when because remember like because she was you're at almost the same point, so you passed the point where she was attacked by the or she became close to being attacked by the polar bear.
Yes, I did. And kind of she has that revelation of the want to live, right?
Yeah, so I feel as though something is gonna go in a different direction. I don't know. I feel like something I feel like she's gonna have to that she'll end up at the end that she will have made a choice, and the choice will be whatever it is, but it will have some consequences to it.
Hmm. So we kind of agree that it's going to end in a choice of some kind.
Correct.
But that's interesting where we kind of differ, where, in my opinion, the choice will end in making peace, and your view is that it will end in some sort of consequences. I'm intrigued to see which way it goes.
Because here's the thing, right? It can go either way.
Oh, it absolutely can. I completely agree with you. And there's still so much time left, being only halfway through, there kind of has to be a twist still, or there has to be consequences because otherwise it would just end here.
Well, you know what? Tonight will be some time to read it. The Jays have the night off, and it's a night off in the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. So, I think I could spend 4 hours and into the nighttime. I'm intrigued.
Oh, you're looking to finish it then, huh?
Oh, I am.
Nice. I'll definitely try to take some time as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? We can share our thoughts next week on it.
Oh, of course.
Now it's time for the all important question of what is your book for next week?
Okay. Well, like I say, I've added a couple to the pile, only two so far, mind you, but I think the one I'd like to go with is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah, so we will continue with that on, oh, what day will it be? The 23rd, I believe.
Yes, 23rd.
Yes.
Now the other most important piece.
Where to find us?
Yes, where can they find us?
So very many places. We have the Discord, which is Alia McCara's books. You can go drop book recommendations, get in touch, find the updates. The website, aliamccarasbooks.ca, for all of the updates as well. That's kind of the first place where they go. All of the platforms, wherever you want to get your podcasts: Apple, Amazon, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart. I feel like I'm missing one.
Yes, the most
Oh, we've
important one.
oh well, we've also got the YouTube. I was going to get there
That's
after,
it.
but I was listing just the general podcast ones first. But we've also got the YouTube. Definitely find the lives there. You can subscribe there. Alia McCara's books and Goodreads. We have a group there by the same name as everything else, and you can take a gander at our profiles as well. And that's, you can find us any of those places, all of those places, check them all out, react to things. Would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, like the videos, like our like and comment, all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
please. That would be wonderful.
Yes, and you know what? This was such a fun show. I'm excited to be back. Looking forward to being back.
As am I, yes. So be sure to stay tuned.